Greetings and salutations, the name's Cavill. Well, this blew up. And thank God, I was on the verge of just asking for likes and subscribers. Now that I've found my niche, I have to ask, who are Nickel's true allies? Any II2 fan will say Baseball and Suitcase, but let's have a closer look at those relationships, starting in Season 1. On rewatch, I was surprised to realize that Nickel's main dynamic was with Taco of all people. When Taco spoke, sometimes Balloon would complain, but way more often Nickel was the straight man. They didn't stick with this dynamic after Nickel was eliminated, however. In the finale, he literally helps Taco and doesn't react when her intelligence is revealed, so presumably he got over it off-screen, which is strange considering he never got over Balloon. Sure, Balloon was a manipulative piece of shit, but he never actually talked to Nickel specifically. The animosity between Taco and Nickel was a lot more personal, so I can't really gauge how forgiving Nickel truly is. Other than Taco, he has the occasional conversation with Knife. I wouldn't quite call it friendship, but they at least reach environmental PSA level. He also had a minor stint selling rubber balls with Fan. Or it might just be random people with the voices of Nickel and Fan, but I struggle to imagine that a Nickel just has $9,000 lying around. The only friendship that Season 1 firmly establishes is Baseball. Nickel makes sure Baseball is the first person added to Team Epic, and he tries to impress Baseball at the Arena of Death. Baseball is immediately eliminated, however, meaning we don't really get a feel for this friendship until Season 2. This is when Baseball forms a team and an alliance, both of which feature Nickel. You'd think this would give them ample time to hang out, but rewatching II2, I was surprised by how rarely these two talked. Their relationship is mostly defined by their third wheel, Suitcase. For this reason, I'm gonna pause the Baseball analysis and pick it back up later. For now, what's changed about Nickel himself in Season 2? For one thing, his directness. He was previously characterized as someone who would speak his mind, no matter how rudely he came across.
What? No cookies this time? Pencils are stupid!
OMG, that was mean!
Season 2 changed this drastically, making most of his dialogue into sarcastic yet personal insults.
You know, guys, after being eliminated for a day or so, I realized I should take this competition more seriously.
Oh, but you were doing so much to begin with!
The other major change, he became the Grand Slam's equivalent of Paintbrush. He openly cares about nothing except victory, which is why he and Soap are competing to lead Baseball's team.
I'm just glad that nonsense is over with. I was scared we almost lost you. Yeah, we need the numbers to advance in this game. And, you know, she's our friend. Oh, yeah, sure, that. Right.
Things are fine at first within this alliance, a bit abusive towards Suitcase, but it's manageable. This is until Balloon decides he's gonna turn over a new leaf and befriend Suitcase, but Nickel thinks it must be an act of manipulation and ironically tries to separate them. I call it ironic because Balloon had done the exact same thing to his alliance, and that's the entire reason Nickel is causing all this conflict. Not that he'll admit to being the source of drama, obviously. If he can't realize he's a hypocrite, he definitely can't realize he's a problem.
I voted for you, Nickel, because you've never been a true ally to me.
Well, what good did it do for you, huh? The only thing you stood for is burning your allies and weakening your chances, alright? As long as I'm here, you're not fooling anyone again.
When Suitcase finally stands up for herself, Nickel shows no remorse and resorts to threatening her. It's clear that if Nickel wasn't eliminated, the Alliance would not have survived this. Suitcase would at best become an unperson, at worst become Nickel's main target. The question for that scenario, which one would Baseball choose? Overall, Nickel was never abusive toward Baseball, but he was toward Suitcase, and Baseball cares deeply about her. You have to wonder how long Nickel could target her before Baseball would reconsider their friendship, because it's clear he was never gonna stand up for her. Then again, after Suitcase causes Nickel to be eliminated, Baseball completely disassociates from her. He still cares about her, but not enough to get over what she did to Nickel, so it's hard to imagine that Baseball would be more forgiving if Nickel was personally driving the wedge between them. The biggest reason he would choose Nickel, though, it comes down to his cowardice. Baseball is willing to outright hurt his friends for the sake of people he doesn't even like. All it takes is a bit of pressure, which is Nickel's specialty. This patheticness was exposed when he voted out his friend Test Tube just because Knife told him to. Knife isn't even someone Baseball cares about, yet Baseball turned his back. Someone who does care about Knife, though, seems to be Nickel himself. He spends a few episodes teaching Knife how to use sarcasm, and apparently it's because he relates to Knife. I'm not sure what he meant by this personally. It implies that Nickel just kinda hates everybody. Either way, the show never explores this relationship because the two stop talking by episode 10, after Knife becomes a Suitcase-related character. I've heard people criticize how this subplot is never concluded, but personally, I see the relationship between Knife and Suitcase as the conclusion.
Did you honestly think they were willing to give Balloon a chance? Or did you convince yourself since you just really wanted them to? They knew Balloon would fail. Use it as an excuse to eliminate him, and bonus, it doesn't make you look so hot either.
I've made my choice.
And you should stick to it. Just make your presence known.
Nickel tried teaching Knife how to be sarcastic, but he seems to have rejected it, deciding to remain abrasive. Then Nickel begins bullying Suitcase, and Knife begins teaching her to be abrasive, the full Uno reverse. There's more than one way to be a jerk, and Knife decided that it's better to be aggressive than passive-aggressive. Segue to Season 3, where Nickel has two new relationships. Firstly, he meets Clover, a woman who was born with incredible fortune that drives Nickel mad with envy. Why is Nickel desperate to sabotage her? The show doesn't give much insight, so I'll give you my personal interpretation instead. A constant theme with Nickel is teamwork. He hated Taco for being useless and appreciated Suitcase for being useful. Perhaps he hates how self-sufficient Clover is, winning challenges without the need to earn people's trust. Hell, even if she needed allies, it would hardly matter. Everyone wants a piece of her natural fortune. Maybe he needed to ruin Clover to prove there was hope. He needed to know that Clover was beatable or the show had no point. He was trying to conquer determinism, much like Fan in Season 2. Clover dominating the show on her own may also have made Nickel reconsider why he needed to treat Suitcase so badly. After all, Clover didn't need the numbers to advance, why did Nickel? All this envy reached its peak when Clover gave her luck to Nickel, which gave him 5 episodes to reign supreme. Now he regretted it Darman style, as he grappled with the implications of needing nobody and being wanted by everybody. Suddenly his victories meant nothing because they were predetermined, and his relationships meant nothing because he couldn't tell who liked him and who just wanted his luck. All at once he realized how unfulfilling victory is and how awful it feels to be taken advantage of. I half expected him to ask, "Is this what you said to Pickle?" There was only one person Nickel knew was truly on his side, and that'd be Balloon, someone he formed an awkward friendship with. At first they openly hated each other due to the Suitcase debacle, but they quickly agreed to set aside their differences for the sake of the game. This led to tons of passive-aggressive remarks between them, which slowly became more playful over time, similar to how friends razz each other. The more they talked, the more they realized they had in common, and the more they wanted to become friends. Every time they tried, however, old wounds would open back up and ruin their progress. If there's one thing Balloon understands, it's that mending fences requires a lot more than just wanting it. So they flip-flop constantly from close friends to reluctant acquaintances, until the finale gives them a bittersweet goodbye.
You heard Silver and Cabby today. Everyone connects our games together. If she's willing to work with me, I think voting you out is the best shot I have at winning.
I mean, you're right, but you know, Balloon, typically when you do a blindside, you don't tell the person you're blindsiding.
Well, I thought you didn't want me to be fake with you.
You know what? I have one thing left to say to you, and this will be in earnest.
What? Surely there's a little sarcasm in there.
No, not a drop. Wish me luck.
You hate luck.
Oh my gosh, shut up.
Being true friends was probably never on the table. We like to say the past is behind us, but the past is also part of who we are. There are some things we can't just leave behind. The best thing Nickel and Balloon could be was real with each other, and they did it with flying colors. Now let's answer the title. From the people I've listed, who are Nickel's true allies? Starting with Taco... Yeah, these two are the tightest buds. He's starring on the Taco Show as we speak. Now let's cut the sarcasm for Knife's sake, because he's arguably the one and only person Nickel ever reached out to, and on a personal level too. This was a big step for Nickel, but it was fruitless as Knife just couldn't respect Nickel's tactics. He's the opposite of an ally. He arguably convinced Suitcase to betray Nickel. Speaking of whom, rewatching the show for this video made me realize that Nickel is kind of an awful person. I never noticed just because he's so funny, but the way he treats Suitcase makes it undeniable. From the beginning, he made it clear that he views her as an asset. Then when she began making her own decisions, he couldn't handle it. You could argue he's trying to protect Suitcase, but I can't personally agree. The show has had many opportunities to show that he cares about her, and it just never happened. He only expresses the opposite. Threatening Suitcase when she stood up for herself was the nail in their relationship's coffin. Suitcase and Nickel were never true allies. It was all Suitcase, no Nickel. Now that begs the question, was baseball a true ally, or is that relationship equally one-sided? Ultimately, their relationship is incredibly hard to read because they only really spend 3 episodes together, 6, 8, and 10. Episode 8 they spend manipulating Suitcase, but baseball is being manipulated too.
I hope we didn't push Suitcase too far. Hey, we need to make sure our ally is loyal now since Soap is getting a big head. She acts like it's her team when it's really yours.
In episode 10, the feud between Suitcase and Nickel is boiling over and baseball utterly fails to put a lid on it. Nickel then claims that refusing to stand up for your teammates is somehow putting the team first.
When did he decide he wanted to be my friend all of a sudden? Since when? I mean, he's just, he's so annoying with that little voice like that. Just drives me nuts. Are you listening? Why do I always let this happen? I could have helped back there, but I just didn't know what to say. Well, hey, neither did I. Someone had to speak up. I can't keep the team together. I can't keep the alliance together. And maybe if I had some actual leadership skills, we wouldn't be in this mess. Yeah, I mean, you really did it this time. Whoa, hey. Look, a good team leader puts the team ahead of himself. You're doing just that. It's something most of us aren't even capable of. And no one could ask for any more than that. Wow. Thanks, man. Alright, look, you can thank me when we actually get out of here and find the exit, so quit the waterworks, quit the pity party, let's go. You got it, Chief. Ew, Chief? What even is that? I don't know, it's a cool name, right? No, it's not. You should be ashamed.
Notice the odd progression of this scene. Nickel starts by defending himself, then making sarcastic jabs. Then when he finally understands the gravity of the situation, he produces some counterproductive wisdom. Then the moment baseball seems satiated, he shuts the conversation down, desperate to move on. This isn't how someone talks to a friend, it's how they talk to a colleague who's making things a bit too personal. The oddball is episode 6, as it's the only time in the entire series that Nickel is excited to spend time with his alliance, even if it's only because he loves Halloween. Hell, at the end he finally refers to baseball as his friend, which really shouldn't be the milestone it is. Honestly, I don't really want to say this, as an II fan it hurts me. The show makes Nickel and baseball look like BFFs, but looking at their very few interactions, I honestly can't see it. Nickel needs someone to control, and baseball needs someone to control him. That is their relationship. The show has never given us more than that. Nickel was just never there for baseball. I can't honestly call it a two-way friendship. The exact same can be said for Clover, because in my opinion, she is baseball's most important relationship. Only through her guidance does Nickel discover why some things matter more than winning, but also why it's so horrible to manipulate people. These lessons were not appreciated by Nickel, however. She gave him kindness and he gave her sabotage. While Clover is the person who did the most for Nickel, it is hard to call them allies. No, Nickel's one true ally comes as a direct result of Clover's teachings: Balloon. Are they like Salt and Pepper? Hell no. Are they even like Marshmallow and Apple? Hardly. These are two people who abused their alliances, then found humility, then found comfort in each other. Are they friends? Not quite, but do they both put equal effort into the relationship? Yes, they finally do. Most importantly, will they ever hurt each other for an easy win? No, Nickel is finally beyond that. It took 3 seasons, but he finally knows what an ally truly is.